Hi, how are you today, guys? Are you ready to go on a Pegasus adventure? Oh, I sure am. So here we go. This is Grandma Debbie with a Pegasus story, and today we're going to head into the forest. So it's in the middle of the day, and we're going to just take four of the older kids, Rachel and Zach and Demetra and Luke, because where we're going could be a little bit dangerous and they need to find their way through it, figure it out so that they can take the small children back someday. So they're coming home from school. One of them's coming home from ball practice, another one's coming home from their job. And they're all over the place. Pegasus swoops down, nobody else can see him. And on his back they are, gathered them from all different places, and away they go. And he says, hang on tight, we're gonna go pretty fast. We've got a long way to go. We're coming from the Midwest and we're gonna go all the way to the West Coast. So they're going up past the states in the middle, past Kansas and the Dakotas and Wyoming and Idaho, and pretty soon they end up in on the West Coast. And all they can see is the top of the forest. Green, oh, it's beautiful. And it's so thick, they can only see the green. And except once in a while, you can see the river moving through the trees, and it's sometimes there's rapids, and sometimes it looks like the river's falling off because it's a big waterfall. But mostly you can't see all of it because the canopy comes almost over the river at some places. But then in the distance they see a clearing, and of course that's where Pegasus lands. And ooh, down he swoops and he lands, dips his wing, and he says, "I've got to go. You guys go enjoy yourselves. You're gonna really like this one, and I'll be here when you're ready to go back." So they got off his back, started walking around, and he took off and left. Rachel starts looking around. They're all looking around. They're curious where they are and what they're going to do here. And Rachel says, "I see a path." And Luke took off running. He just took off running. Demetra followed him, and Zach was with him, and they went down this path, and it started winding through the trees. Well, these trees were so big. They were so big. At one point, they stopped, and they all put their hands together to circle the tree, and they still couldn't reach all the way around it. They were so big. Sometimes it was 20 feet up before there was even a branch. And through the forest, some of the big trees had fallen down, so you had to climb up on them and run the distance of them, because they were wide enough you could run on these fallen tree trunks and not fall off. So they were having the best time running around and giggling and climbing over trees and then coming back onto the path, onto the trail. So as they got farther into the woods, Luke says, "I see something up ahead." And when they got up there, it was like a box, but it wasn't a solid box. It was like a fenced-in box, had a roof on it, but there were cables, there were ropes and cables on it. Well, Zach got to looking around and he found that most of the sides were a gate, so he opened it up and they climbed inside, all four of them, and they got to messing around and looking and realized it was a cable elevator. It was ropes and cables, and if they pulled on them just right, it would lift it up. Oh my goodness. So they got pretty excited, and they started all pulling, because there was four of them on there, so they had to pull pretty hard, although it was made right so that it would work that way. And the elevator went up and up and up and up, and Zach thought, "Where are we going?" And he looks up, and above him is a building in the tree. So they pull themselves up level to a platform, secure the elevator, and crawl off onto a platform. The platform happens to be, it's a platform, but it's part of a balcony. And this balcony goes all the way around this building. This building must have been, 10 feet wide and a good 7 feet tall. And it's got windows in it and a door and a roof. So in the door they went, and first thing they noticed was they could look out all the windows and see the other trees. Now they were still underneath the tree tops, so it wasn't as bright as it would be if they could see the sun. But they looked around, and oh my goodness, there was a something like a couch and something like a bed, but it was like a kid's tree house. So they had taken sticks and old boards and things that they had found, like a tire, and they had made bunk beds and a chair and a place you could store your treasures if you brought along a pop can or whatever it is you had. So they explored that for a little while, and it was magnificent. It was a dream for any kid that wanted to build a tree house. And it had a balcony all the way around, so they went out, and it had railings. So they went around and looked at the rail, could look off the side and look down and see, and they could see a deer, and they were wanting to watch and see if they could see a bear. And also, they were high enough that if there was mountain lions or something, they'd be level with them. But anyways, pretty soon they wondered where Zach went, and they went in and they said, "Here's Zach, and he's got his head sticking out of into a hole." And they, what are you doing? They asked, and he said, "I don't know. This goes somewhere. Look, it's a hole in the wall." He sticks his head in, and it's a tunnel. It's a tunnel, and so he's crawling through this tunnel, and it goes up and up and up and winds around and goes up and up, and finally he comes out the other end, and he goes, "Come on down, come on up, come on through." So they did. They went through, and they found themselves in another treehouse. Only this one was more modern. It obviously had not been made by kids who found junk in the woods, and it had a real couch. It had a refrigerator in it with snacks and food. It had shelves on it, shelves with plates and stuff, and they could actually make a sandwich because there was food in there. And there was beautiful windows where you could look out and they could almost see the river off to the side. And they explored and had ladders up the side so they could go up, and they open up the windows and look out, and if they could open them up, then fresh air would come through. And this one had a skylight, so they could go up and lift it up and see outside. Well, Demetra starts crawling around on the side, because on the side of the walls is a ladder. Now, we're in a house, and it's got a ladder up to the roof. So she climbs up the ladder, figuring there's something up there, and of course there was. It was a trap door. A trap door. So she opens it up, and it opens up to another platform. But this platform is hooked to a rope bridge. And they have to hang onto the rope and walk, and the bridge is swaying back and forth and wiggling this way. And one kid got on it and headed across because they could see there was something special. Another building across in another tree. And there was nothing below them. So some of them didn't look down because it was a little scary, because the rope bridge was swaying back and forth, and they hung on tight, and across the rope bridge they went, and one by one they ended up on another area that was flat, but it was very beautiful. It had steps going up and a stairway, and it led to a beautiful door, and again, there was a balcony all the way around so that they could see, but they went into the door. Oh, my goodness. This was the most magnificent place. It was a kid's heaven. There was a pool table. There was a ping pong table. It was that big. It was that big. And there was a foosball table, and just all the games. There was electronic games, not a lot of computers, because you don't want to be doing that if you're up there. And there were it was just everything they wanted to play with. So they did. They played ping pong. They played foosball. They played all the different pinball machines and things. And then but the main feature in this room, and once again, this one was round, and in the middle was the real tree trunk. It was pretty big. And on the tree trunk was a spiral staircase, just beautiful, with the railing, and it spiraled up. And pretty soon, Rachel said, "I'm going up there to see what's up there." And up she went. Well, goodness sakes, what fun. When she got up there, there was a shower. There was a jacuzzi tub off to the side. There was a porch. And on the porch, on a branch, was a double swing that was all soft, so you could cuddle into it like an egg almost, and it would swing. And it didn't go off the balcony, but they could get on there and just relax. And in this room there were books. So this room, they could find different places. There were hammocks. There was the swing. There was a huge beanbag chair, so they could just crawl in here, and lighting. Now we're getting lighting, and they could read and just relax and enjoy themselves. And they explored the books on the bookshelf. Two of the walls were just covered with books where there wasn't a window, of course. And again, right up through the middle is this stairwell, spiral staircase. And so up they went again. Luke says, I'm going to the top. Oh my goodness. When they got to the top, they found a room that was a Lego room. They'd never seen as many Legos as this, except when you're in the Lego store. There were projects that were put together on shelves. There was loose Legos all sorted in the bins. There was some over in wagons and in boxes that needed to be sorted. And there was a whole filing cabinet full of instructions on anything you could make. And the windows were like eye level and up. But from the floor up, it was solid. Well, Luke went over and he started messing with it, and there was this little handle. So he turned the handle, and lo and behold, it dropped down. It was a desk, and the legs popped out, and it had little cubby holes in it that you could put the Legos and you could build. And all the way around the room, that's the way it was. So you could build on your own shelf, on your own desk, whatever it was. So they played in there for hours and hours. And finally, they thought, well, you know what, we probably be better get going. So they stepped outside onto the balcony and went to the back. And in the back there was this huge platform that connected this tree with the other tree. Now, mind you, we can now see the sky, and it's huge. This huge platform, over 12 feet wide, and there's a massive branch that runs across the top, coming from the other tree. And on each one of these is a swing. There's a rope swing, but it's not a regular rope swing, it's a harness. So you can get on it and you can swing out over the platform because you're on a harness and a cable. And then there's a tire swing. Then there's the disc swing. And again, the swing for two people where you can this was a reclining one. It was just like something they'd never seen before. So they could read books or just sit out there, and now they could see the sky and they could see the tops of the trees. And after a little while, Demetrius said, I think it's probably time we better get going. And they all went, oh no, we got to go all the way down through those tunnels and steps and ladders and bridges and everything else. And they wondered where Zach is. Well, curious Zach, he's over in the corner off the side of this platform. And he said, check this out, guys. There's another little platform off the side that was kind of hidden by some branches. And looked over, and hanging there are cables with harnesses. And they looked down, and it's a zip line. Yeah. Now we're clear at the top of the canopy, and we've got zip lines. So each kid buckles themselves in, and they talked it over, and they said, don't go till you can't, till you know it's safe. So Luke was the bravest. He jumped on there. He was so excited. And off he went, just a screaming and a hollering and yelling and going so fast they just could hear him. Just, his cry just got quieter as it went because he got so far away, and then it got silent. So the next kid went, and you could just hear them just giggling and laughing and screaming with delight as their stomach turned upside down, and they rolled down the zip line. And what happened, though, there was like 4 different levels because they were so high up. So they would go down one, they didn't want to get going too far, and they'd get off of that one, harness themselves into another, make sure they were all secure, and then head down another one until the last one got to a platform that was about 30 feet off the ground. And it ended. No more zip lines. All there was a rope with a harness. And guess what you had to do? You had to jump off the platform with the harness on. You had to jump off. And it was on a bungee cord. And you had to jump off. And that's what they did. It was only 30 feet or so, but they jumped off the bungee cord and then made their way to the clearing. Oh, they were laughing and jabbering and so excited that when they got to Pegasus, they just couldn't, they were all talking at the same time. He couldn't even figure out what they were saying. They were telling him about the Legos and about the hammocks and about the pool table and about all the snacks and the food and all the great books that were up there and the swings and the zip line. And he tipped his wing down and he didn't say anything to them because they were just so excited. And onto their back they went, and they jabbered and talked and told Pegasus about it all the way home. And then when they got past their home, well, they reached in their pocket each one of them, even before they got off, and they pulled out of their pocket the treasure, because they had each collected a treasure. They knew good enough to do that. One of them had a tiny hammock, looked like a charm, or a treasure. It became a treasure. And one of them had a spiral staircase, a little spiral staircase. And another one had a harness, so you could remember the zip line. And another one had a pool table, little pool table. And they tucked them back in their pockets, and he swooped over their houses, or actually not the houses, they were over their backyards and things because they were outside. And outside they went. And Pegasus says, "Goodbye, children. I'll see you next time." I hope you enjoyed the story. You make sure that you obey your parents. Brush your teeth before you go to bed. This is Grandma Debbie. I'll see you next time.